Do we
It
have him
just
now?
mutes.
You got me.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
that thing gets everybody, man. I thought it was just me all the time. I'm the worst with that. Past time.
That's
It's an
awesome.
ever changing set of rules that I can never quite get right, depending on
Well,
what device I'm working on.
The other one we encounter is if you use the phone like I am now, whether it's the Android, the Apple, is where they put the buttons and then how it fits into the camera mount. So you always end up putting it on the side and then it clicks like that power button and you take a picture of selfie or some other thing and then you go, hey, I was about to go. Boom. You gone. They think about the technology sometimes and all the stuff it does, but then a lot of times they don't think about like the practical, you know what I mean? Even if, was it the face recognition, all the phones now, like, oh shoot, face recognition, COVID.
Yeah.
Well, we got to go back to Adam, welcome to the show. How you doing today, man?
Better and better. I really agree with you. I feel like a lot of these devices or systems that are put out have never been checked. Don't you get the feeling that no one has ever actually tested whatever you're using in the field and not figure out one or two of these simple little changes that would be so easy to make it accessible to everybody, but they've never actually tried it? Like the creators of Zoom have never actually tried a Zoom on different devices and different settings with different people and learned, oh shit, there's a lot of fixes we need.
Yeah, because there is, man. Like everyone gets caught coming out with that mute. Everybody I've seen. Yeah,
but it happens.
Like, that's the thing. Why would you turn it on and have it muted? Like I'm turning it on to like I'm coming on here to talk. I unmute, and then even the picture. Like, why is the picture muted?
Yeah, but what you
like,
have that like on
meeting,
websites
like,
too, right?
Dude, we make music. Hey, you have a music background, Adam too, so that you know, right? So it's funny, man. Especially you have a music background, you see how you put things together, man. Where are you from? Where are you living now? Where are you situated, Adam?
I'm from the Bronx and raised in New York, and now I live in Los Angeles.
My aunt's from the Bronx, man. I family
Bruckner Boulevard, right next to Sam's Butcher Shop.
Wow. My aunt, she passed, but she was at 167th, off of Fordham there, right? Close to Yankee Stadium around there. Now, right near the birth of hip hop, actually, like 2 blocks from her. And then my other aunt is in Brooklyn. So I'm from Toronto, Tom's from Toronto, but I was raised between Toronto and New York my whole life. So I have a timeline with you, man, my brother. So I saw I didn't even know you had the music background. I'm into hip hop and stuff, right? I know you from the acting. So Tom, when you first said we had opportunity to do, this is going to be awesome. And then he was saying how you really were keen on talking, about your other passion, which is the music. And I go, well, that's perfect. Because, you got a music dude here. And then I seen in New York, I did a little bit of info. So it's cool, man.
Well, Adam's been on Pod Jerky a couple of times, and he's joining us in our virtual convention as well. And the last time we spoke, I believe it was the last time we spoke, I told you that I was working on a project with Thrust, and I said I can't say anything right now because we don't want to release any of this information yet because we didn't want anybody to know about it. So we started this new show called the Northern Touch Show, and I don't know if you're aware, but back in the 90s, it was 99, I believe. It was the Northern Touch single that came out. And that was a collaboration of hip hop with a few of the big hip hop stars here in Canada. And Thrust was one of them that was on there. So we kind of took that name from the song that came out, the single, and they called that Canada's anthem. It's actually Canada's anthem, that song. So
and ironically,
took that name.
Ironically, the song has irony. It came out the same time. It had the same sample as DMX, Get At Me Dog, the same time. So, you from New York. It was Premier and Pete Rock, all them DJs, they kind of had the 2 songs mixing. It was that Christmas around that time. So rest in peace, DMX. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool, man. So we just took that moniker and figured, hey, let's do this cool, talk show kind of thing and get into topics, man, because we both have music backgrounds, but then we got a whole bunch into music. It means you're into a whole bunch of other things.
I agree with you. And once you have that musical knowledge, numbers and rhythm, you can apply that to any art.
Exactly.
I believe. Let me ask you guys, what would you say are some of the defining characteristics of Canadian hip hop?
Well, it's hard to say Canadian because that's the problem. Most of the origin of the sound of it came from Toronto. Toronto was the base, the core of it. And if you look on the map, it makes sense, right? We've had a tie to New York City since the inception. And our tie was just, like I said, I was in New York my whole life since I was a baby because I had my aunts, uncles, nephews. We have Caribbean backgrounds. If you look at Toronto as a city and New York, have you been to Toronto?
I have.
At all? So it's very
yeah.
similar. It's like LA, spaced out wise, but the multicultural wise is like New York City, but it's more multicultural than New York. In the sense of our neighborhoods are not like, you know, the neighborhoods in NY, it's segregated. You know what I mean? Like you could see, you know, when you're in, oh, I'm in Spanish Town. You know what I mean? Oh, you know, here we have that kind of population, but everybody's integrated. So every street you'll have that, but it's all mixed together. Every bus, we intermingle more than any city. We're the new Berlin, right? And we've always been like that. So that's why we have this gumbo. It's almost like New Orleans created that gumbo out of that same thing, right? So where you hear our hip hop, it's very, from the core, the root of it, it's very authentic because I was that dude every summer. I was there. You know what I mean? And then we just imported it in the car and drove back. It's a 7-hour drive. The border's a 5-hour drive. If you're in Montreal, it's a 4-hour. So we just imported the culture back and forth from visiting our aunts, uncles, cousins. We were them kids, right? And then us having a Caribbean background. Remember, Toronto also 90% of the Black population in the 70s and 80s was Jamaican descent. So you see, we had sound systems just like her, but except we understood it. So we have a strong reggae, Caribbean. We have all of that. We have everything. So it's the perfect place. It was just the same culture, but the difference was we live in a country that Canada, though, on a whole, on the map, you know, we share North America, is a conservative country, right? America is a progressive. I say I don't want to call it in a sense, most like a capitalist type country. You guys, you know, get up, go, American spirit, American way. Let's get it, hustle, go. We're not like the culture here is not as boisterous. So when the hip hop came up, they're like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Because we're bringing that rock, but yo, no, we had enough of this. No, you know what I'm saying? We still had the same struggles, but our population is still the same. So even now, if you look at it in 2021, I tell people our cultural influence was never that strong, but we were always here, right? That's why Drake, like we've had hip hop artists here from 1983. We've had in 1987 we had 9 artists signed. We've artists that slid through the 90s, but we were just in the underground. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't really aspire to be higher. So it's like I said, everything's just a matter of time, and people are just starting to see our story. But it's so amazing because it really is authentic. Most American hip hop artists, their first show or their first interview on TV is from Much Music up here. Karis Warner said it. I remember Big Daddy Kane. I came up with that promoter, just so you know. I was at all those shows with the artists too. From Too Short to, I don't know, I could tell you all the names if I could go through, you know, I'm talking about the 80s. And they were here, they battled Toronto twice. We had 2 big battles against Toronto. New York invades Toronto. You know what I mean? BDP at their prime, man. So like I said, we've always been a mix. We always had DJs, we always had dancers, we've always had a scene. And it's just that our scene was denied by our own country, our own city, right? And it still is denied. We never had an artist sign up here yet. Even after Drake, no one had a direct signing yet. It's crazy. Drake wasn't even a direct sign. He almost didn't even come out. So we always had to be independent, like how LA was, and just have that spirit to go. I think that's what the thing. A lot of the directors, if you look, you ask, they got that Canadian background. How did you, right? Little X, big up X, Director X. So yeah, but that's interesting. You asked the question like that. Why? Have you traveled Canada a lot? What have you seen up here?
I have traveled Canada and I've worked in Canada, and I've toured as a folk musician my whole life. And Toronto is known as being very friendly to the folk scene. And there being a lot of clubs like that, like the West Village in New York, that are open to that. And I have found that one of the reoccurring themes is an inclusivity, which I really enjoy in terms of the music and the scene that I've experienced, but not in terms of hip hop. I haven't explored that directly.
Well, the thing is, it's like we were the one, and we still are. That's why we had to create this show. I remember when Conan O'Brien came up here, right? Speaking of another connection, and they had a whole week in Toronto. Let's do a special on Toronto. We're here for a week, man. And they didn't even reach for Russell Peters, man. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
Like, they jump over us. And it's what I'm saying, it's discrimination. Like, I'm still a brother, man. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it exists. And I tell people, it doesn't exist on the level of us being social, interacting and going around, but it's on a corporate level, which is still the same thing, because the basis of racism really is power. So if we're not empowered, then you are no different than the cops in the States. If we're not, we have a high level of violence in Toronto. It's wild, man. Toronto ain't no joke, man. To be a rapper in Toronto, man, I'm lucky I'm from this school, man. I ain't running around with them with this, man. It's crazy, man. Most of what you hear, if you check it, you can see. So it's because the youth don't feel that a sense of empowerment. They don't see themselves on that level or in the culture, man. Even for Drake, I look at anyone on that level. I'm like, where are you really, man? Like, are you really in all them places, right? Look at the Raptors. What's his name on the team? He should be on every billboard everywhere. You won the championship. That was New York, Atlanta, You won championship tours everywhere I go. Kyle Lowry. That's what I'm thinking. Big up Kyle. Kyle be everywhere. I know they respect him, but he would be everywhere.
And you're talking if he was in the States, not in Canada.
States, Europe,
yeah,
South America, the world, man. Canada got to compare. We got to compare ourselves to the world. Everybody, we got to stop. He knows what I'm saying, right? You can tell I've been on both sides, right? I know Adam's like, I like this guy. We got to stop. It's like Canadians are really, really the best of the good at a lot of things, but we bind to this being the Canadian best. And I think it's like the biggest drawback. The rest of the world, this is my art. Here's my thing. Put it together. You know what I mean? I'm going to export it. You don't like it here? I'm going to export it. Is that what you did, Adam? How did you guys start it with you guys? You guys were together 20 years. As friends, like, how did it go for you musically? Like growing up in New York and doing music with friends. That's cool, man.
Those blinders that you talk about can be universal, because I remember asking my parents, did you know that where you were in the Bronx, there was a hip hop revolution happening all around you at exactly the time you were there? And they have no knowledge or memory of it because they were completely isolated from it. And I'm explaining to them that there are bars in Japan that are recreating what the Bronx was like when you lived there and you had no idea this was even going on around you. And they moved from the Bronx to Long Island. And Long Island is the suburb outside of New York City, as you know. And any suburb outside of a major city is a breeding ground for extremes. So you either get serial killers or you get like massive artists, because there's a mentality of people that live next to the big city, which is that people will travel for all around the globe to go to New York City. But the people that live an hour outside of New York City will never go. They will never go. They can ride the Long Island Railroad into the city for free if you have tickets to a show. They're like, free tickets. And they don't take advantage of it because they don't give a shit. So you can be so close to one of the greatest cities in the world, and as far away from anything as you could ever imagine. So those like-minded people who peek their heads up and look out for more tend to find each other. And that's just what happened. The musical people in my neighborhood, who are all still working in music now, that I met when I was a kid, we found each other. When I started going to the city and taking acting classes when I was 13, those kids that were in that class with me at 13 are still working and still doing it, and we still keep in touch. Because
did you go to one of those, like, I know there's a lot of people in New York, those called like the New York School for the Arts type thing?
I did. I didn't go to the professional children's school like from Fame, but I went to the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute on 14th Street, where they had a young kids program. And that was just everything that made me a loser in Long Island made me a hero in New York City. Everything about me that felt different and weird and off and like I needed to change was embraced and celebrated in New York City. So that's when I went, forget Long Island. This is my home. This is what I want to do. And I found those like-minded people, and we all started making music together. My father, both of my parents, school teachers, and my father taught a music program. So he instilled good music in us very young. He loved jazz and he loved 50s music and really hipped us to all that stuff, which his open-mindedness was my blessing. And
it takes one, right? It just takes one to like, it's amazing that one, right?
Yeah, an older brother or a father or a relative or some cool uncle that's just like, come here, listen to this.
So they see it and you're like, oh So
sometimes it was just the cover art. Sometimes it was just like the cover art of some Miles Davis record. And I was like, what is that? What is happening? Who was
you play the harmonica. I love the harmonica. Harmonica's cool, man. I remember Dougie Fresh beatboxing to play the harmonica. I thought it was the craziest thing I ever saw in my life. He beatboxing through the rolls to play the harmonica. Yo, man, how did you harmonica, what saxophone, what else did you do? You know, you do vocals, right? How did you get into the instruments? How did that happen?
Because I wanted to be in the band. And if they'd be like, we'd have that, I would learn something else. Or I would say I play it and then learn it real quick because I just wanted to be in the band. I wanted to be out on the road. And if somebody could sing better, okay, I'll be the drummer. And then I'd learn how to play the drums. And then as I got older and I wanted to produce records, I found it easier to just know a little bit of every instrument so we can do this all together. And so I'm mediocre at many different instruments instead of being really great at one.
And are you still doing the band thing? Are you still with your buddies there with the band?
We don't play as much anymore, but I've been playing with this folk singer named Dan Byrne.
Yeah.
And he tours in Canada a lot, and he plays a lot of those folk festivals. And he writes a lot of songs for TV and film that we work on. And I still put songs in TV and films and place things, and I still produce records for other people, but I play live less and less nowadays.
Did you get a chance to tour the East Coast of Canada? Did you get to go to like Newfoundland or any like, nah, bro.
I've been to Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto.
Because they got a lot of bands. Wasn't it a great big sea and all this cool? I've been out there because it's by the water. You know, if you see pictures of it, and you're like, it looks so wholesome. But when you touch down on there, you're gonna go because it's in your cards, right? And what you do, it's just that I know it's expensive. I also said because I only been out there twice, and I've been in the scene for a minute because it's so expensive and it's so far to fly out, right? And you can't even put it on a tour route, but.
No, but
I live in Canada and I've never been there.
Like on your card, like try and get out there because what you're doing and the music you do and everything. Oh, you right? You know what I'm saying, Tom? You think I'm right?
Yep.
The whole East Coast, anywhere out there, Halifax, Newfoundland. Newfoundland's right by Maine. So if you've been out to Maine, right, it's very close to Maine. So
we have been out to Maine. There's a popular folk club in Maine. I remember getting. We were there on Halloween. Right by Stephen King's house, where this.
I was there. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I stayed. There's a hotel or something around there. I did a show down there. I was on tour. Believe it or not, I toured with the Scoop Soul Decision, and we're touring with. I did a tour. I was touring the States for about a year. I toured with Destiny's Child, Christina Aguilera, believe it or not, and I did that NSYNC tour that year. I was on those 3 big tours, like the biggest tours, crazy. So we did all those crazy spots, man. And our driver, I really got cool with the bus driver. I'm like, I know, I'm just hip hop. I think this makes you a people person. So people know what he talked to, tend to lie to me. That's the guy I want to talk to. So I say, hey, what's up? How you doing? The guy they ignore, and he ended up being the guy. He goes, oh, we go to Maine, come find me. And he did this drive, and we went into the spot. Yeah, man, it's nice there, isn't it crazy?
All straight up that hill. I remember feeling like we were straight up a roller coaster getting up to his house.
Tom, you seen it on TV? You know what we're talking about? Like
yeah.
What you know about that? I think it's man. We did it at nighttime. You come out. Woo.
But I think what you said is very true. I think hip hop musicians and comedians, those are the people. Those are the ones at the party. They're going to be talking to the wait staff. Those are the ones that are going to be in the kitchen. Those are the ones. You know,
I walk in first, and I remember we went to we had the Junos. First I went to the East Coast, Newfoundland. This is the best time in Newfoundland. Landed in Newfoundland. Me and my homie Marlon, he's a manager for the time, this group Brass Monk, another hip hop group. We went to the hotel, we worked out, and we went to this inclusive thing EMI was throwing. You know, the label, right? You've been in this, like, hey, label thing. So they go, and if you ever go, there's a street, George Street. You'll go. If you ever go to Newfoundland, everyone eats there. It's the #1 fish spot. They got scallops the size of this because it's ice water. They're like, it's right the furthest northeastern point in North America, right? So when they get the fish, when it comes in, it's the freshest fish you can get. You know what I mean? It's not shipped, nothing. Shrimp, my hands are big. God, jumbo shrimp. You ain't seen jumbo shrimp before. So we had all this free meal. We went to the bar. What's the first thing? We went to the bar. 10 minutes, the guy gives us a free drink. We both hand him $20 each. Or 30, or something like $30, $40. The whole week was paid for. I can't remember how much. He goes, what are you guys doing? This is all inclusive. He goes, nah, man. I go, we here, man. You here tonight. Nobody's getting it. You working. And he's like, we're going to take care of you tonight, man. That's a story for later, though. Tom asked me about that later. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a hospitality. It's like there's a Southern hospitality, which I've seen, and there's like Northern hospitality. They got the East Coast out there. Those people are beautiful, man.
I think there are many similarities between Canada as a whole and the Southern states. It's just in terms of like people that look you in the eye and mean what they say and take their time and are sincere and thoughtful. Whereas when I'm from New York, when somebody looks me in the eye and speaks slowly, I think I'm about to die.
Yeah.
Well, we had this conversation, I think, with Sarah. You know Sarah from Blackbird and Advocacy Podcast. We were having this conversation about New Yorkers, and she was saying that like New Yorkers, like they'll slaughter you when you go there. They're always in a rush, right? So it's like, you know, you're walking by somebody, and if you're new to New York, they'll just walk almost like right through you if they're going to the bus, or they always have something to catch. They always have somewhere to go.
You know what it is, Tom? And he's gonna know I've been to New York. It's because everybody that travels goes to Manhattan. If you go to the outer boroughs, it's not like that. Yeah. When you're in Manhattan, it's like going in the heart of Toronto. Toronto gonna get like that too, and Toronto's sort of getting like that too. If you go down Bay Street, some of the little places, the financial district, and it's just. But people gotta realize that's where everything originated like that. So you gotta like. A lot of people don't know the history of New York City, right? And a lot of industries and all that stuff started there. So they had to get it going. Because if they didn't get it going like that, then the world's pace would be super slow. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm saying? In a way, you ever thought about that way, Adam? Like, that's the way I see it.
Well, no, I appreciate what you're saying in terms of like, most of those people are tourists walking very slowly, having a completely different experience than that guy who's just trying to get to the train to get to work. And they're all forced
they gotta go. Like, they're the go.
And it's like, normally if you go to Mount Rushmore, you're around a lot of people that are taking their time and enjoying Mount Rushmore.
York, like the money move. The money can't be moving like that with everybody just going, hey man, stop it. Like that's why I get so frustrated. I'm on Toronto. Toronto's the most frustrating place. If you come, you'll remember I see you drive. It's crazy. Because Toronto had a population boom. Always had a good population. We always had around 2 million, 2.5. But now it's like 5 million, right? And the driving's just crazy. It's not like New York where we got a lot of like 2-lane, 2-way streets. Not like New York, you got 6-lane, 1-way streets and all this, so it moves around, right? I always tell people here, if they're in politics, I said, you need to look at New York and all these other big cities, change a lot of these streets and make them like, when you go up Young, it's all 1-way north. You come down Bay, it's all 1-way south. So the flow of traffic goes. It's like you're driving in a small town and we got 5 million people, which is like 25 million cars, man. So it's like our traffic, they have a show, Highway 401, the craziest highway, man.
Oh, it's nuts. It's crazy.
But look, but New York moves when I take most people, they're like, oh my God, this city moves. I go, yeah, look how this city moves around despite having all these people that's on the record and so much more that's off the record.
Well, there's one speed. We're all moving in New York forward and in one direction. And if you're not going that way, you're going to get caught. But it's reliable. You know they're not going to stop for the pedestrian. So don't jump in the middle of the street because we're not stopping.
You know what's
any other
like
city,
that too?
even LA, it's like, are they? Are you going to? No, we get. But New York, nope.
Yeah, they hesitate, man.
We're going straight.
Europe's like that too, though. That's why I say, Casey, drive. What's this? If you're gonna turn right, turn right. I learned to drive when I was 16 on the way to New York. My trip, I drove even younger. My parents had a farm. Actually, I was really young. So I'd be driving or whatever, but that's his farm drive, his side road. But on those trips, and then most of my driving from 16th, my summers were in New York, was in there and going on the on-ramps. Tell a man about the on-ramps, man. You know, our on-ramps, you've been up here. We got all this long distance to go on exit into the highway. Right, Tom? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if we shipped all these cars. I tell people, if I shipped you guys down there and made you go into the highway right here, 90% of these cars would fail. You know what I mean? They're going to slide, everybody honking. Because you got like 10 feet of room. Go down the exit ramp and get on. No long merge. We got like 2 miles of merge, and these people driving, they hesitating. Oh, it's so like, oh my gosh. That's
the only thing
international and traveling, when you come back, you're like, certain things, you're like,
The only thing I can compare it to is Boston, because I have been to Boston. I have drove in Boston. And, you know, we came up to like this 4-way stop and we didn't know what the hell was going on because nobody was stopping at the stop signs. It was like everyone just kept going. And I was like, I don't understand what's happening here. There are 4 stop signs at all corners and everyone just kept going. And people would just walk in the middle of the road while you were driving. And I was like,
that is the way in New York. Like pedestrians rule when the light changes. When the lights the other way, the cars go. And I love that, man. And when I come back to Toronto, I used to come back every summer. I'd spend like 5 weeks, and my cousin from Queens would come and spend like 5 weeks, and they go back to school. That was my life till I was like 20. And then I go every March spring break. Then I go, every little break, right? So that's how I grew up. And sometimes I go to Philly. Sometimes I go south. I had family all around. I had aunts and uncles in Florida. They drive up from Florida. to New York to meet her. So sometimes it's just weird. I don't know people spend life in a car driving. So by the time I went to music and touring, people go, "You're like the most road ready dude." I said, "Dude, my parents had me in the back of a car driving this old Cutlass Oldsmobile everywhere. I mean, we flipped the needle on that car like 5 times. I'm not even lying, man. Before I was 16, right? And then I took a lot of flights. My parents traveled, but yeah, man, that's the thing. It's good. But in Montreal, I was gonna say, Adam, you've been to Montreal too, right? Didn't Montreal mind you a little bit? Like they drive good too. They drive, but they have that European style drive. Europe, if you go to England, even if you go to London, you've been right. Look how they drive in London. Even the buses, yo, them double deckers, they move, dude. They're boogie. When I say they're boogie, dude, when they take the corner, I thought it was cool. You know, you're on the TTC, and how when the train take the corner, you're like, no hands, right? You play cool. I got my, yo, I was driving Piccadilly or something, whatever. The thing went, and I thought it was cool. I almost fell out the bus because the door doesn't close there. Like when you go on the thing, yeah, man. Everyone looking at me like, you're not gonna hold on. Yeah, man. And them roundabouts, when you go to the roundabout, no hesitation, man. Them roundabouts, out. And the thing, no ages of nothing. 65, 50, 40, 13. I looked at every car. I wasn't driving then. I was like, let me see this, man.
The first time we toured in London, we were crossing the street, heading to sound check, and I was next to the trumpet player. And like every American, he looked the wrong way before he crossed the street. And just like you were saying, one of those buses right out of nowhere, and the wind knocked him as if the bus had hit him, because it was so strong and so close to his face that he fell back, landed on his back. And we lean over him like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Well, if I'm gonna die, at least I was dying with my trumpet in my hand."
Yeah, man. Smack, man. Yo, man. I'm thinking, dude, man. Yeah. And everybody drives stick, no standard, dude. I looked in cars. I was looking for I saw 2 standard cars. I was into cars. I'm looking. I was into comparison, right? I saw a lot of North America from young. That was my blessing from young. I was traveling since I was like a baby, one of those people, right? And then music started traveling me since I was a teenager. I was doing music since I was 15 touring. I toured with Public Enemy since like Public Enemy 15, and it just went on and on and on, right? So my path is different. So yeah, man, but I never went to Europe. So time I went over there, I want to see what's the difference between Europe and North America. Like, and London was the thing, right? Yeah, and my mom went to Pitman's College in London too, so she had family over there too. So I always had people visiting from there. But that place is cool though, man. For music, that's another place. I gotta go back. I can't wait to go back when this thing clear up, if and when or whatever. So we gotta stay healthy. But what else? So yeah,
I first went to Montreal as a kid to work when I was working on Nickelodeon. A show moved production from Universal Studios Orlando to Montreal when they started offering all those tax breaks. And that's when I went over there for the first time. And I remember thinking as a teenager that these are the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone just looked like some French model. I could not believe it.
The way that, you know what it is? It's like certain places you go, Vancouver's like that too. And I tell certain people, it's not that women are beautiful everywhere. But when women or a man or whoever, a human being, I want to get politically correct or whatever, a human being knows how to dress to compliment themselves, it's a special thing. And in Montreal, I tell people, yo, when you go there, everybody knows like their shape and their whatever and how to compliment and bring out their strongest features, man. And then you got the accent. And then the worst thing is the thing we all love. I know Tom's smiling. Then you're sitting down eating this meal that's just so amazing. Right?
Yep.
Wine, nice meal, some crazy steak. And you're looking around and it's just like, oh my gosh.
You're just like, what are you doing? Where are you going?
You speak a little French? Do you speak?
No, I don't.
Je parle français, monsieur? Comme ci, comme ça?
C'est à toi.
Je ne comprends pas. I have grade 9, grade 10, so it was enough to get me around. They were impressed enough, and I can understand.
That's all you need. You need your high school French to get around in Montreal. But they talk a little bit faster than I understand. But yeah, I could get by a little bit there.
Hey, as long as you can say, "Where's the washroom? Where's the hotel? Where can I eat?" and I get back. Like, there's not too much more. It's funny, language, right? There's a few things you need. The rest, and then you can tell me you don't speak the language, then you're okay. So it's not that much to learn. I gotta learn Spanish. If I don't know any Spanish, I don't know. I was never into languages. It's weird. For artists, it does. Language was never my passion. It's weird. I was thinking about that the other day.
I
You
feel
speak
like
any
as a
other languages,
musician,
Adam? Like, any other language, any linguistics?
not
No?
really. I can speak a
No?
couple words in a couple languages, but what I've experienced, and I'm sure you would too, is that if you spend time in a Spanish speaking country, you will learn it without even trying. After a while, you'll find yourself speaking it and you don't even know how that happened. It's like learning the lyrics to a tune and you've just been listening and all of a sudden you stop listening and you know it all.
You know what it is? It's not, we don't have a dense Spanish population. Even in Toronto, as a multicultural city, it's not. It's very small. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? The influence. So it's not like, and when I go to New York, in New York, you can't get away from everywhere you go, right? And you go to like LA, Miami, certain places, they have like that. So it's just like part of the fabric, right? So, but we don't have that. Like, that's one thing about Toronto, is I always say, it's a multicultural city. We don't have a huge Brazilian either, but we have a bit of everything. But that's, yeah. But when you know how it goes. Everyone's got their differences. So anything else on the plate that we can look out for from you? anything new, anything anything you can let out the bag a little bit, little treats?
Next week, check out the TV show Chicago PD. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll be appearing on that.
All right.
I think on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week on NBC. Please look for that.
And you're going on that next week, I would assume. Oh, sorry, you've been on it already. It's been already filmed and everything.
Yeah. I just got back from Chicago, and I think it airs next week on the.
Awesome, man. So it's like you had fun. You had fun. You're digging the role, the character. You had fun. It was a good one.
Well, it's cool for a bigger budget NBC show. They do try for realism as much as possible. So we'll be shooting in some really rough parts of Chicago, shooting a murder scene, and then there's an actual gunfight happening next door, and the cops pull up, and there's all the fake cops and the real cops, and no one knows what's happening, and it's just chaos. And they'll be like, no makeup, just wear what you're wearing, like really trying to make it as raw as possible for those characters.
Yeah, but you have to pull it off, man, to get out, right? So your blood's pumping. That's good for the scene, though, because the scene, like when you watch the scene, the intensity of the scene is the real intensity. That's why those shows sometimes just do it. I wonder, because you watch, right? And like, how do they really? Because they do like, is it like in a studio? Because this is super intense. So that's cool. No,
man. We were shooting in a pawn shop, and the real pawn shop owner was there, and it was all their real stuff that was set up, and everything was locked up. And they have 2 cops there to make sure everything is, according to code and what the cop would do. And they really are going for this realism. That's really nice. And there's some moments which is my favorite thing to do in any genre, when you have that moment where you're like, I'm not even acting. I'm not even counting the beats. I'm just feeling and expressing myself. And you get to have those moments where like they're filming me. They've blocked down this street. They're across the street with the camera. It's just me. And I'm standing there, and it's starting to rain. And these are real people. They don't even notice we're filming, and I'm just existing, and people are bumping into me that don't even know this is a scene. And I'm like, I'm just walking from A to B, living my life, and I am getting paid. And this is art, and this is as real as can be. All I'm asked to do is just feel. And that's my favorite thing in the world. That's what they taught us at Strasbourg as a kid, which was like, okay,
you're a Cancer, right?
Experience something for you. Yeah, I'll experience something.
You're a Cancer. I'm into astrology. You're a Cancer. Tom's a Cancer too.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a Scorpio.
I think you're only 10 days away from my birthday, so actually.
It's all water. You're a 6, right? I'm a 6 too. I'm a 15. So I know what that means. You like harmony, you like peaceful things, you like beautiful things, you don't like things to be disruptive. And in Cancer, your home gotta be right. Everything especially your home, it gotta be proper. I know it's you. Yeah. You got the same birthday as the RZA. I hung with the RZA a lot. The RZA got the same.
Is that true?
July 6th, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
But going back to the acting, like the last time we had talked, you told us a very funny story about J.K. Simmons, and we'll get into that because you got to work with a lot of like really, really like high profile actors from Men at Work. You got to work with a lot of people that came and even guest starred on that show as well, even if it was for 4 or 5 episodes, whatever it was. I mean, Amy Smart was on that show. You had Stacy Keibler was on that show. Jane Seymour was on there. Seth Green, Laura Prepon, Ed Asner was on it. You got a scene with Lance Bass, which was a pretty cool scene. What was that like to work with all of them?
It's amazing, especially Ed Asner. He was incredible. And
that's big, man.
There's a thing with older actors where it's just in their blood. You know what I mean? And it's like watching a baby on a tightrope. You're just like, well, they're gonna fall. And then they never do. And it's just like gymnastics. You can't believe it. You're watching them because I'll be honest with you, Ed would say a line and it was so brilliant. And then he would give you this look that said, I have no idea what I just said. And I have no idea what's coming next. And you'd see that panic. And then it would disappear and he'd remember and he'd say the line. And then there'd be that panic again. And then it would come back. And if you just stuck with him and looked him in the eyes, it would all happen. It just took a little bit of patience. So it's kind of similar to working with younger actors too, where it's so pure and so raw, but there's almost an unawareness of where they are and what's happening. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, man. In recording sense to everything too. It's like somebody new in the booth, somebody new, in the recording process, somebody like there's different levels of it. It's the same reason that like some of the greatest singers on stage can never record anything great in the studio.
It's a completely different beast. And what are you trying to do? I'm sure you wrestle with this. Are we trying to capture that live personal experience on tape, or are we creating a new piece of art that's going to be built? Are we creating that? Like, what is it we're doing? And it's tough because some, especially in the folk world, I've found you take that guitar or that instrument out of their hands and the singing is different. When they sing and play, they are kind of jamming with themselves and little syncopated rhythms, little just different things. You know what I mean? Like just come out, breaths like James Brown, like where the breath and the cough and everything is all a part of the tune. And then you take that instrument away and it's stiff. And suddenly it's not, and they're like, well, I'm singing it fine. What's the difference? And you're like, it's a huge difference. It's like night and day. One's like a duet and the other is like a monologue. And I like that duet with yourself. That's what I got a good Ghostface Killah story if you want to hear it.
Oh, we'd love to hear that. Let's go.
There's a horn section that we would play with in the folk world that does a lot of hip hop stuff. I think it was Scion put together this tour with a lot of hip hop artists, and they wanted a full like orchestra to back them instead of tracks. We're going to have this full orchestra. So this horn section that we play with a lot got to be the horn section for all these hip hop guys. And Ghostface, I guess, wouldn't show up. You never knew if he was going to show up for sound check or not, because sound check was not for him. He knew the tunes. The sound check was for the band. So he's like, you guys can figure this out without me and I'll show up right at the end. But someone needed to rap while Ghost wasn't there.
Oh, you had to be in the stand-in?
Just to stand in, just for the cue lines. You know what I mean? So a buddy of mine, who's a white Jewish trumpet player from Long Island, was the band leader. And he is working with the band. Ghost isn't there. And he's reciting the raps because he knows them. And he's dropping tons of words that he has no business saying in private, let alone in public.
You remember the song? Do you remember the name of the song at all?
I don't know which tune it was.
Can you say like a line from it? I'd probably know. Oh, it'd be so crazy to know.
I wasn't there. This was a story told to me.
Oh, okay, go. Keep going. I
don't
want to take your energy. Go. I don't want to take your energy. Keep telling. Yeah.
So, my buddy is rapping and cueing this whole orchestra, doing Ghostface lyrics, and Ghostface shows up, and the whole band just stops playing. And the guy's still rapping and still rapping. And he looks up and he's like, why is everybody stopped? And he turns around and there's Ghost. And Ghostface comes over to him.
Yeah.
He taps him on the shoulder and he says, you don't say that word. I say that word. You say neighbor. I was like, okay. And then every time he'd do the rap, every line was my main neighbor. I'm talking to my neighbor. This is my neighbor. You're my neighbor, dog.
Gosh, dude. You had to look at his face and everybody just stopped. It's like that moment, like you're passing the note in high school to your girl, and then the teen, hey, what are you doing? And the note in between.
And what do you say
in front of the class?
What do you say to Ghostface? You say, okay, sir. You know, like,
you definitely
it's Ghostface,
say,
right?
Yeah. And then there was no problem. He was just like, that's not your word. You don't say that word. You say neighbor. And I've stolen that since then.
Was this Jordan?
This was Jordan.
This was Jordan. So, because I saw that he actually worked with a few hip hop groups.
Yeah.
He's worked with like De La Soul. He's worked with Ghostface. He's worked with Big Daddy Kane. So he's got a chance to work with a few of the bigger names in hip hop, which is really, really cool.
I remember the day I explained to my folk band that there is a band, I think from Georgia, that is doing protest folk songs in hip hop and rap. And they were like, you're fucking fucking lying to us. I'm like, no. And I play them Rosa Parks by Outkast. And they're like,
Outkast, I was gonna say Outkast, yeah.
I had no idea. Like we started covering that song like it was a protest song, because it is a protest song. It's a folk song. It's just got a beat and it's got lyrics. But we would trade off the verses and we do it and we replace every word with neighbor.
You into jazz? We like jazz. We have some cool projects like Jazz Taz too, some fusion. There was that era did some fusion projects. You go back now, I listened to some of that later. That's what was really good, man. You know what I mean? With Donald Byrd, he did an album with Donald Byrd, a fused hip hop, jazz, and then they didn't have to sample because they were playing it. Then they still did sample, and just that stuff's cool, man. On that Portis, I like Portishead too. You know what Portishead is?
Very much so.
Yeah,
big
man.
fan. That live at Roseland record when they have the orchestra.
Oh yeah, man. I figure you like that. Portishead, man.
He's like, give me a reason to love me. Give me a reason, right? Is that the song?
Yeah, I believe that. I don't know the title. This stuff is just so crazy. I got to go back and listen to it because Portishead was something that I never ever had in my place. It was just something that I always go to somebody's spot and they just have it and play it. You know what I mean? And I heard it so many times, but it's like somebody's spot hanging out. You know what I mean? You smoking in the basement, chilling. Hey, let's put some Portishead on. Yeah, that's always cool. Everybody loves the Portishead, right? And just have
like the bass player only plays every 8 bars. There's like ba-dum-dum.
Yep.
And then a couple hours later, ba-dum-dum.
And that James Brown, man.
Oh, the JBs,
like that, right?
just
on
the
that
JBs.
Everybody play their little part all the way through, man. And if you come off of that, I'm gonna find you, man. You know, at the time James is going like that, he's finding when you see him going like that, he's finding $10, $10, 20, 30. Yeah.
You ever listen to those JB's records where it's just the band?
Yeah.
It's
man.
Favorite. Oh,
the best James Brown thing I ever heard was this guy used to go check. This guy, he's like a hippie dude. He was like mad. He's calling DB. He used to work at this college radio show. He had long hair, man. Like long hair to the ground, remember, right? Skinny white guy, long hair to the ground. One of those college radio. College radio is the same anyways, right? Anyways, he was a nice dude. So I was always kicking with him, this music thing. And he goes, hey, you want to listen to something, man? He goes, what? He goes, I got this concert. He had a concert of James Brown right after Martin Luther King was shot. And it was the concert. I don't know if there was riots all over America at that time.
And they brought him in.
Imagine after the assassination of it was just going crazy. And then he went on TV and he calmed everybody. It's in all the documentaries.
I remember this. It was like the local government asked them to do it. They're like, James, we need you. Okay. You have to bring everyone together.
He had a live recording, since we're talking music today, of that concert. That was one of the best things I heard in my life. I didn't get a copy, but I sat for like 2.5 hours and I had no words, man. You can only imagine.
I've heard about that. I've never heard it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how it's one of the sneak in. It wasn't like it's like you don't have it. Like people have it, right? It's like that street thing, right? Like, yeah, man, it was snuck in and got and yeah, he had it, man. Yeah, sometimes it's cool you meet certain people. That's why I always tell people talk to everybody, man. They might open up, have something to just blow your mind, man. But I don't know. Time is going. I think we might have to do something different. Come back again and do something again with you. This is such a good interview, man. I'm really enjoying spending this time with you, man.
Oh, anytime.
Thanks for making room for us on your schedule.
Adam's always, you know what, Adam, I can't say enough because Adam's always been very welcoming and saying, you know what, you guys want to have me on the show, it's no problem. He's been a great interview every time he's been on Pod Jerky or the convention. You participated in the, it was that, what was it, treasure hunt kind of thing? Not a treasure hunt.
Scavenger hunt.
With Sarah at the convention. Did you receive your prizes?
I did. They came to New York and they're getting sent to me.
Okay, perfect. So I mean, he's always been a fantastic guest for the shows, and we always appreciate having you on.
Do you have time for a song? Do you think I could play a song, or do you got?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's the perfect way. Let's go. Yeah, a treat. Let's go. Oh, this is special there.
This is a folk song. I could just play.
Is this something that's that you just came up with, or something from before? This is something in the moment.
It's an old original.
All right.
My old folk band.
Great, man.
But I've rearranged it and found it to be more relevant now than it was then. Let me. Sorry about that.
Tom, this is special here, man. Here we go, Tom. Oh my goodness. World premiere. Mirror.
A joke is a joke if you get it. Now I know I broke your spirit, but my heart is whispering. I hope you hear it. You don't need me to tell you why. Don't you say goodbye when you know you ain't leaving. Don't you even try. Your heart is beating. 'Cause you won't get far from me here if you're poisoned by your fear. You're my bitter honey, you're my sweetest tear. Now a dream is a dream when you remember. But when I woke, I could see on and on forever. Lately with the sun in my eyes, I'm a blind defender of the one, the only one could make me cry. Don't you say goodbye when you know you ain't leaving. Don't you even try if your heart is beating. 'Cause you won't get far from me if you're poisoned by your fear. You're my bitter honey, my sweetest tear. Look inside, you'll find a knuckleball or a second half of a rolling stone. Look inside, you'll find now and then, no, you may crack in two. And then again, a joke is a joke if you get it. Now I know that I broke your spirit, but my heart is whispering. I hope you hear it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Man,
that was amazing. That was
amazing, man. Thank you for blessing us with that, man.
It's always nice when you get like a surprise like that to come on the show. Like this wasn't prearranged or anything. You didn't ask us beforehand and say, hey, I'm going to play something on the show. This was just a spur of the moment. I know you had it planned probably, but we had no idea that you were going to do it. So it's always a good surprise to hear something like that.
Hey, man. Thanks for sharing with us, man. That's great, man. I love it, man. Thank
you. Let's do this again real soon.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So
yeah, thanks for having us. Where can these people find you? What's the the contacts and all that good stuff?
Oh, I got all the social media. You can find me on any of that stuff. I'm Reagan.com on Instagram, Adam Busch on Twitter, on the Clubhouse. I'm easily accessible, as Director Awesome will attest.
Yes, he is, man.
Yes.
Yo, wish you
and
the
very
best
and very
endeavors,
lucky.
Man.
Very lucky that we did get a response from Adam the first time I reached out to you, because we kind of built this connection now where we can talk with each other, have you on the shows, and it's just amazing to have you on the show all the time.
You guys continue to inspire me with your positivity and your energy and your ability to bring people together from all over this globe.
This show too as well, like the Northern Touch shows, this is a new thing that we're doing. Like I said, myself, Thrust, and our other co-host DJ Despair, who's not here today. But we're gonna have like tons of guests on. I mean, we have this one will air after the ones that we've already aired. So I mean, we've got another hip hop guy on, Nish, and we've had Kwame that came on and did an interview with us, and he is the creator and the director of the Soul on Ice documentary. And it's all about hockey players in the NHL, like African-American hockey players in the NHL, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And it was just so amazing to talk to him as well. And to have someone like you on the show is great. And we're just going to keep building and building and building as we go along. And we're going to have fun with this. So it's always a pleasure to have you on here.
Definitely, man. Our aim is diversity, man. We want to show different sides of things, right? So we'll use what we got to draw you in, and then we're going to have fun with these interviews. And thanks, man. It's a pleasure. Wish you, like I said earlier, the best to your endeavors. Blessings to your family. Hope everybody's safe and well down during these times. You know what I mean? And stay on the path, man. You're an awesome person, man.
I mean, any hip hop show that'll let me sing a folk song is all right with me.
Hey man,
If I'm ever hosting a folk show, you can come up and do some hip hop anytime.
Well, hey man, maybe we can do something. I'm still making music, so hey man, who knows, man? Who knows?
I'll send you if you want.
Future, man?
I'll send over some of the music that he's got out right now if you want.
Man.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, we'll definitely, when we get off this, we'll stay in contact. And Tom knows. Tom works with me in all levels. So
yeah,
once you know Tom, it's like you know me. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, friends.
Thanks for giving us this time this afternoon. And we'll definitely, and God and hopefully willing, do this again.
Mm-hmm.
Take care, guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Adam.
Blessings. Peace.
All right.